Ever feel like your own mind, your biggest strength, is also your heaviest weight? It's such a strange paradox, right? Well, today we're going to dig into why having a powerful intellect can sometimes feel like a massive burden. So let's get right into it.
It's a question a lot of us have probably quietly asked ourselves. You see this theme all the time where super smart people often seem to be the most isolated. They just kind of go hand in hand. So, what's the deal? Why does a brilliant mind sometimes lead to a lonely life? Let's break it down.
Okay, so the first piece of this puzzle, it's all happening inside the mind itself. We're talking about overthinking. It's like having this super powerful engine, but it's stuck in neutral, just revving and revving, going nowhere. Right. And overthinking isn't just, thinking a lot. It's way more than that. It's a loop. It's when that amazing brain of yours, the one that's so good at seeing all the patterns and possibilities, just gets stuck. It replays scenarios and what ifs over and over until you're just totally paralyzed by it all. And this whole cycle can start with something so small, right? Like a simple text message or an offhand comment from a friend. But then that powerful mind kicks into high gear, analyzing every single angle. And for some reason, it almost always drifts toward the worst case scenarios, doesn't it? Next thing you know, you're just frozen. You can't act, and a mind that's built to solve problems ends up creating a brand new one, pushing people away. And that leads us right into the next big thing, what I like to call the perfectionist's trap. This is another one of those internal battles, where that amazing drive to be excellent gets twisted into this relentless search for something that's totally impossible to achieve. So how does this actually, create distance? Well, for one, when you've got these impossibly high standards, they're not just for you. They can totally spill over onto other people, and suddenly they feel like they're being judged. Then there's the fear of messing up, of not being perfect in a social setting, which can literally stop you from even trying. It turns every conversation into this high-stakes performance, and wow, is that exhausting. It's the opposite of a real connection.
And this quote, it just nails it. A super analytical mind is literally wired to see the gap between how things are and how they could be, that perfect ideal. And being aware of that gap all the time, always seeing the imperfections. It's a huge source of creativity for sure, but it's also a source of this deep frustration that makes it really, really hard to just connect with our messy, imperfect world.
Okay, so we've been talking about the internal stuff, right? Let's switch gears and look at how this all plays out externally. Specifically, how it shows up in our actual conversations and leads to this constant search for something deeper. Here's the thing you gotta understand. For a lot of people, a conversation is just exchanging information, what you do this weekend. But for that powerful analytical mind, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real conversation, the good stuff, is about the why, the motivations, the patterns, the meaning behind everything. So on one hand, you've got small talk. We all do it. It's kind of like social glue. But on the other hand, you have the kind of talk that really lights up a powerful mind. We're talking about exploring big ideas, getting into wild what-if scenarios, just connecting the dots on a deeper level. And man, when you're desperate for one, but the world seems to run on the other, that can feel incredibly isolating.
Look, it's not that deep conversations never happen. Of course they do. It's just they're a much, much smaller slice of the conversational pie. And that mismatch, right? That gap between what your mind is craving and what you can actually find out there, that is a huge reason for feeling so disconnected from everyone.
All right, so we've gone through a lot of the struggles. It can sound a bit bleak, but what if we've been looking at this whole thing the wrong way? Let's use the time we have left to completely reframe this. Because I promise you, every single one of these so-called burdens has a seriously powerful flip side. Just think about it for a second. That tendency to overthink? That's your deep analytical skill. That's what lets you see a problem from 100 different angles when everyone else sees just one. And that perfectionism? That's your drive for high-quality work and your incredible attention to detail. And that constant craving for depth? Well, that's the exact same quality that lets you build the most profound, life-changing connections when you find the right people. So at the end of the day, these things aren't flaws. They are not signs that you're broken, not at all. They're just the side effects of having a mind that's running at full throttle, a mind that's always deeply plugged into the world. It's a feature, not a bug. So I'll leave you with this one last thought. The next time you feel that weight, the burden of your own mind, just stop and ask yourself, is this heavy burden actually my greatest hidden strength? Something to think about.